Learn to paint this in 8 minutes. Today I'm only using these colors to create a painting that is beginner friendly and kid friendly, requiring minimal color mixing and using basic shapes to create. Okay, so first I'm gonna get everyone to sketch out their little pot. I have this flat brush and I'm going to start with the color yellow. I'm going to mix in a little bit of red. This is a bit too orange for what I want, so I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. There's nothing wrong with going over the lines a little bit, but I do want it to stay visible. So I'm not going to go completely over it so I can still see my lines. A bit of red into the yellow, tiny bit of black. I'm going to add a little bit of green, just a tiny bit. I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to add a little bit more black and a little bit more blue. I'm going to start painting just the inside of this circle here. I'm going to actually change brushes just to make it a little bit easier. There we go. And now I'm going to add a little bit more red to that same brown here. I'm going to paint this side here. I'm going to create the shadow. I'm adding a bit of white to the same color and a little bit of yellow. White, like a peachy sandy color. I'm going to make a lighter version of this color here. I'm going to start off with white and just add a touch of that same color we used here. And I'm going to start painting this rim here. Remembering to leave a tiny gap here. I'm going to make another version of that same, whatever's left on my brush, add a little bit of yellow. I'm going to add a few strokes here. I'm going to go back with this color. Mix out a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of it here as a shadow. Going back with this color here, I want it to be a little bit more neutral, so I'm going to add a tiny bit more of green, just a little at a time till it kind of turns more gray and not so red. And I want to make another orange. I'm gonna make a red mixed with the dirty brush of this brown, because I'm gonna paint the pot this color here, and this is gonna be the shadow color. I want to make a lighter version of that. I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow. I'm gonna use a small one. I'm going to make a bit more of a yellow mix of brighter yellow. Add a little bit here. I'm going to mix the white with that yellow and a tiny bit of this pink again. So it has a hint of pink, but quite a lot more white, so it's like a highlight. I'm going to add that on this white gap here that we've left. I'm going to add little dots and on the back side I'm going to use a shadow. I'm going to use this as the shadow. So I'm going to mix this color and this color. I'm going to make the rim shadow at the back here. Little bit of that highlight color mixed with this shadow to just make a few little highlights in the shadow, but not so bright. Just dab it around this yellow oak a bit more to this section here. And I want to make a darker shadow. I'm going to mix red, tiny bit of green, tiny bit of black, more green, and red again. So I'm making a red, green, and yellow mix here. Making a shadow here. We're going to add this here. I want a thicker, more defined shadow here. We're gonna blend it out towards where the lighter part of the pot is, but keeping this pretty much just on the right side. Going back in with the yellow, I want to add more light on this part of the pot. I want to add a slight wash over this pink color. I'm going to wash a little bit of the yellow left over from this highlight here. So I want to just lightly go over this. And I'm going to use the brown with a bit more yellow to make a more defined line. I'm going to add a little bit of white to into this section here. I just want to brighten it up. That will help create the illusion of this shadow thing here. We're gonna start mixing our greens, but I'm gonna go ahead and clean my palette off. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of green. I'm going to add yellow to it and a tiny bit of red. So if you want your greens to be slightly muted, like not so bright and vibrant, you add a little bit of red. That cancels out that bright, fake looking, like out of the packet green. So if you want it more olive toned, more like a darker, deeper, you add a bit of red. So I'm adding a bit of red to make my base dark tone. I'm going to mix 3 shades of green. So the dark base, which is green, yellow, and a bit of red. And now I'm gonna mix green and a bit of yellow to make a brighter version of the one we have. And I'm going to make one that's got a lot more yellow and just the green that's on this brush. I'm gonna start off with a dark green and I'm going to start drawing my cactus. So I'm going to, you can do whatever you want. You can do the shape that you like, or you could follow what I'm doing. I'm going to start off with a big one here to do a branch, add a lighter side to this. So you can see it's a bit lighter. Try not to get on this highlight here. You want more of this dark as the base. And I'm gonna make a lighter green with a bit of white mixed in. This is going to go here. I'm going to make a darker green again, red, green. I'm making an even darker green to create harsher shadows, so I'm going to add a little bit of this shadow here, a little bit of that shadow here, just on this side here, and a bit on the main part here. If you covered up some highlights, don't worry, because you just go back in with the light color. Here we go, and just add those back in. So I went ahead and added more shadows on that cactus off camera. I added a bit more green, red, and a tiny bit of blue to deepen that shadow on the actual cactus. And then for the spikes, I used white, green, yellow. For the bright parts where the light is hitting, a little bit more yellow, a bit more white, but it's a very pale green looking mixture. And then for the spikes and the shadows, I added a little bit more green, a little bit of red to mute it down and make it more of a darker, cooler toned spikes. You can also see that on the silhouette of it, where the shadow's hitting, I added dark green spikes.